How do you measure the life of a man who helped build one of the most influential musical dynasties in history, survived the storms that fractured it, buried the people he loved most, and still found the strength to stand? This is not the simplified version the world thinks it knows. This is the quieter truth of Jermaine Jackson, a man shaped by silence before applause ever found him, a brother torn between loyalty and identity, a father humbled by mistakes, and a survivor now searching for peace in the later years of his life. His story is not just about music or fame, but about endurance, regret, faith, and learning how to live when the noise finally fades. A childhood without space to dream. Jermaine Jackson was born into circumstances that offered very little comfort and almost no room for imagination. He grew up in Gary, Indiana, in a modest two-bedroom house that held 11 people, a space so crowded it often felt more like survival than home. The walls were thin, the rooms tight, and privacy did not exist. His father, Joseph, worked long shifts at a steel mill, returning home exhausted and burdened by the pressure of supporting such a large family on limited income. His mother, Catherine, took on part-time work when possible, but her greatest labor was keeping the household emotionally intact, offering kindness and faith in an environment strained by constant need. Money was scarce, and every resource had to stretch. Clothes were passed down, meals were simple, and sleep often meant children lying head to toe on shared beds just to fit. The house was always full, but not with ease. It was filled with tension, responsibility, and quiet endurance, discipline, faith, and emotional weight. Two forces shaped Jermaine's early life more than anything else: his father's strict discipline and his mother's deep religious faith. Joseph believed discipline was the only way his children could escape poverty, and he demanded obedience, respect, and excellence. Mistakes were not tolerated lightly, and fear became a constant presence in the home. The children learned quickly to stay quiet, to comply, and to suppress their emotions. Catherine, by contrast, guided her children with gentleness, prayer, and belief. She tried to soften the edges of Joseph's severity with love, but even her warmth could not erase the weight that hung over the household. An unspoken grief also lived there, stemming from the loss of a child shortly after birth, a sadness that lingered in silence and shaped the emotional atmosphere long before Jermaine could understand it. Love existed, but it was restrained, filtered through stress and survival. A quiet child, learning to observe. Growing up in this environment, Jermaine became quiet and observant. He learned early that speaking too much or pushing boundaries could bring consequences, so he listened instead. He watched moods, read the room, and adjusted himself to avoid conflict. He respected his father, even when fear accompanied that respect, and admired his mother's calm strength. This emotional restraint shaped Jermaine's personality. He rarely expressed anger or frustration, choosing instead to internalize his feelings. But inside that silence, something sensitive and thoughtful was growing, a deep awareness that would later define his connection to music and people. Music as refuge and language music became Jermaine's escape long before it became his profession. He listened closely to the sounds around him: his father's guitar, his mother humming hymns, his brothers tapping rhythms on tables and walls. Music made sense in a world that often didn't. It offered structure, expression, and comfort without requiring words. Jermaine didn't need to explain himself through music, he could feel it. This quiet relationship with sound shaped his instincts, teaching him how to support rather than dominate, how to blend rather than compete. The accident that changed everything, the turning point in the family's life, came from a small, almost ordinary moment. When one of the older brothers broke a string on Joseph's guitar, it initially caused anger, but it also revealed talent that could not be ignored. Joseph saw a possibility, perhaps even salvation, through music. From that moment on, childhood changed. Practice replaced play, discipline intensified, and the Jackson family began forming what would later become the Jackson 5. Jermaine was given the bass guitar and vocal responsibilities, roles that suited his steady nature. He practiced relentlessly, pushing through physical pain and emotional pressure, learning harmony, timing, and discipline far beyond his years. Growing up under pressure, rehearsals took over daily life, often held in the cramped living room with furniture pushed aside. Perfection was demanded and mistakes meant starting over. There was little room for rest or childhood freedom. Jermaine understood early that his role mattered not just to him, but to the survival of the entire family. That responsibility weighed heavily, even as opportunity began to replace poverty. He felt pride in contributing, but also a quiet loss for the childhood he no longer had. Responsibility arrived before readiness, and there was no choice but to grow into it. Thrust into fame. Too soon. When the Jackson 5 signed with Motown Records in 1969, life changed almost overnight. The move from Gary to California brought new surroundings, but also new pressures. Jermaine was only 14, yet suddenly expected to perform professionally, travel constantly, and meet expectations far beyond his age. At Motown, he became a co-lead singer alongside his younger brother Michael. His deeper voice complemented Michael's brightness, creating a balance that defined the group's sound. Jermaine worked tirelessly to master his role, knowing millions would hear him, even as fear and excitement lived side by side. Touring, exhaustion, and lost youth. The schedule became relentless. Tours, interviews, rehearsals, and performances blurred together, often reaching nearly 300 shows a year. Jermaine learned to sleep on buses, eat quickly, and protect his voice at all costs. While other teenagers experienced school dances and friendships, he experienced hotel rooms and stage lights. The exhaustion was physical and emotional, but he endured it quietly. Success brought applause, but also isolation. Fame demanded sacrifice, and childhood was the first thing given up. Standing beside a rising star. As success grew, public attention increasingly focused on Michael. Jermaine loved his brother deeply and recognized his extraordinary talent. Yet he sometimes felt an ache he didn't know how to name. It wasn't jealousy, but uncertainty. He wondered where he fit and whether his contributions were truly seen. Still, he became the emotional anchor of the group, offering stability and support. He carried his doubts silently, choosing loyalty over ego, even when it meant fading into the background. The split that changed everything. In 1975, the Jackson family faced a defining moment. Seeking creative control, the brothers chose to leave Motown, but Jermaine faced a painful conflict. Married to Hazel Gordy, daughter of Motown's founder, his loyalty was divided between family and marriage. The decision tore at him. In the end, he stayed with Motown, a choice that fractured the group and strained family bonds. Though love remained, the separation left emotional scars that would last for years. Jermaine later acknowledged the weight of that choice and the loneliness it brought. Finding his own voice. Focusing on a solo career, Jermaine worked to establish his own identity. His album Let's Get Serious marked a breakthrough, earning recognition and success that felt earned and personal. For the first time, he stood alone in the spotlight. But the joy was short-lived. Michael's release of Thriller redefined global fame, and once again Jermaine found himself overshadowed. Pride and pain coexisted as he supported his brother, while questioning his own place in the world. Love, marriage, and emotional distance. Jermaine's marriage to Hazel began with hope and stability. Fatherhood brought him joy and purpose, but the demands of fame slowly created distance. Emotional exhaustion replaced connection, and silence grew where communication once lived. Vulnerability led to mistakes, and choices made during emotional confusion created lasting consequences. The eventual end of the marriage came quietly, marked by dignity and regret rather than conflict. Jermaine carried the weight of knowing he had hurt someone who loved him deeply. Complicated relationships and responsibility. Subsequent relationships brought more children and more responsibility. Jermaine loved his children fiercely, but balancing multiple households, financial strain, and emotional expectations proved overwhelming. Public judgment compounded private struggle. Legal issues and financial hardship followed, revealing a reality far removed from public perception. Fame did not protect him from stress or shame. He cared deeply, but caring did not always equal capacity. Legacy and reflection. Watching his son step into a role, honoring the family's history brings pride and bittersweet reflection. Jermaine understands now that legacy is not measured by charts or wealth, but by survival, humility, and growth. He no longer seeks validation. Peace has become his greatest achievement. The quiet truth. Jermaine Jackson's life is not a simple story of fame and fortune. It is a story of resilience, mistakes, love, loss, and learning how to live when the world stops watching. In the quiet years, he has found something rare, acceptance, and that, perhaps, is the truest measure of a life fully lived.